Hello and welcome to the Outer East Football Netball Show brought to you by Gameface. I'm Adam Miller and once again alongside me in the studio is Steph Barkers. Good afternoon, Steph.
Good afternoon, Aiden. This week is going to be massive because we have our Division 1 Grand Finals.
And don't forget Premier Division preliminary finals on the Sunday as well. It's our second last week of the Outer East season and it really starts to heat up.
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's gone so fast, I feel like, but very exciting nonetheless. Well, coming up in this episode, episode 21, we have the senior men's and an A grade grand final preview for you. We break down this Saturday's grand finals and we also chat about your opinions on who will be premiers, what the winning margin will be and who you think will be best on ground.
Plenty more reviews this week as well. We grabbed some with Narre Warren Senior Captain Joel Zeitz, but also Warburton Millgrove Senior Captain Nelson Aldridge.
We do a little review of the Division 1 Awards night.
And a new segment we're bringing in this week, Colour Me Impressed, our opinion on the most impressive or surprising stories to come out of season 2024.
Well, let's get straight into our grand final previews for this weekend. So we're going to start off with the footy. Now, first and foremost, we thought it'd be interesting to go through a bit of history before we get into this season because there are some great facts here. So Warburton Millgrove, their last grand final was actually in the Yarra Valley Mountain District Football League, which is obviously what we used to be. Division 2, 2006 was the last time. So they won 15-15 to Thornton Eildon's 14-12. Now, Hillsville's a little bit more recent, of course. Their last grand final was when we were AFL Yarra Rangers. It was Division 1 in 2016. 8-6 defeated Alinda Ferny Creek 4-9. But this one shocks me. The last time these two teams met in a grand final was in 1962. We were called the Yarra Valley Football League and Hillsville were 11-15 and defeated Warburton, who were just Warburton, not even Warburton Millgrove at the time, 11-7. So some very interesting facts there. They obviously have not played each other in a grand final for a very long time.
To give context to people who have been listening to our stream for a long time, Leo Gronawaga was only 8 years of age, just to really put that into context.
Wow. And then, of course, when we go ahead to this season, they most recently played in the qualifying final just 3 weeks ago. There was only 5 points in it, but Hillsville do have the 3-0 win-loss record in season 2024. But I'm interested to hear from your point of view how you think this matchup might go on Saturday.
Going to be closer than some people might think. Warburton Millgrove probably did let themselves down through inaccuracy the last time the two sides played. But as Steph mentioned, it is a 3-0 record between the two sides. 11-9, 75 to 9-16, 70. So 5 more scoring shots. Nelson mentioned that last night at the medal night. That was a bit of a disappointment for them. And there's going to be plenty of big matchups. Pat Murray probably going to have the job on Lamb Westlake. And then down the other end, Sean Andeweese is probably going to have that big job on Aaron Edwards. And then through the middle of the ground, Tom Barr, Tyson Henry probably go head-to-head with Nick Mendy and Levi Greenwood. And then Brandon Murphy, well, he's got a really big job trying to quell the influence of Nelson Aldridge.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's have a look because earlier today I did put out some Instagram polls. We were interested in hearing everyone else's opinion on this match for this weekend. So first and foremost, I put up a poll about who people thought were going to win. The Bloods were sitting at 64% and the Boroughs at 36%. So pretty strongly going the Bloods way at the moment from our Outer East football netball community. Winning margin, I had less than 30 points or more than 30 points. That's probably the most even one at the moment. So 56% think the margin will be less than 30 and 44% think it will be more than 30. And then as far as best on ground, I got people to send in who they thought was most likely. The answers that we got the most from Hillsville was Levi Greenwood, and if it's Warby, Nelson Aldridge. So in our bracketology, we had both picked Seville to make the grand final and be premiers.
And we're both wrong.
We're both wrong. Neither of us get a point for that. We will be counting points post-grand finals and we'll be going through all of that. But for now that we know who's in, who do you think will win?
I think Hillsville might just be a little bit too strong on this occasion. But I do think, I do side with the 56% saying under 30 points. I do think it'll be a close grand final. But
yeah, I think
I'm going to go the way of the Bloods.
I think I agree with you. What about a best on ground?
Oh, gee, there's so many players you could pick from, but I might go with Nick Mendy. I think might be my pick for the best on ground medal, but that's who I'll go with. Yeah, Nick Mendy.
Yeah,
I think.
fair enough. I'm actually going to go with Max Donegan.
Max Donegan, yeah, no, fair enough, yep.
Yeah, I feel like he's had a pretty strong season.
Yep.
I think maybe he's been a little underrated, actually. He did make Team of the Year, though, as well. Yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling that if someone's going to step up, I feel like he could be the one to do it. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. Okay, as we move over to the netball, it's a lot more recent history, shall we say, than the football. So Seville's last grand final was just last year. However, unfortunately, they were defeated by Emerald 41-62. That was a Division 1 grand final. And Warby's last grand final was also last year, but they won. So they defeated Yarra Glen in Division 2 54-37. However, what is interesting about this one, I think, is that this is the first time that these sides will face each other in an A-grade grand final ever in our whole history. So obviously, again, just 2 weeks ago, they played in the semi-final. Seville won that one by 10 goals. And the win-loss record for this season is Seville 2 to Warby's 1.
Yep.
Give us a match preview, though, for this weekend.
Yes, as you mentioned, it's a 2-1 head-to-head record. Warby did get the win in round 1, but then Seville have gotten the last 2 wins. The semi-final was actually a pretty tight game for 3 quarters. It really was, just the difference was the third quarter. Seville ran away, and Warby probably made some very uncharacteristic mistakes that I'd never really seen from a Warburton Millgrove. To give you perspective, Steph, this is my 3rd season calling it Outer East. That was the first ever time I'd called a Warburton Millgrove loss. That was, they've been so strong the last couple of years. So disappointing performance from them in that third quarter, which really let them down. I mean, they say in football the third quarter is the premiership quarter. I guess maybe it applies to netball too, and that's really where Seville probably won the game. But some of the key matchups, Claire Minnie, she's obviously going to line up in the centre. Warby, well, they're quite versatile. They do really like to, in footy terms, throw the magnets around. So she might be up against either Jessie Hare, Selena Fodor. You might even see Margaret White running through the centre as well. Louisa Suleimani, she's going to have the big job probably trying to stop Bianca Daniels, and then down the other end of the court, Ali Langdon probably trying to stop Olivia Ray.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one. I think it really is going to come down to who can hold their nerve better on the day. They are both extremely strong sides. I think they're both very deserving to be there. But let's have a look at our community predictions. So at the moment, we had the Blues winning was 58% and the Boroughs winning 42%, which is fairly close, but the Blues slightly taking that one. Winning margin, less than 10 goals, 65%, more than 10 goals, 35%. So people also assuming that this one's going to be pretty close. Best on ground for Warburton Millgrove, most people either said Bianca Daniels or Ali Langdon. From a Seville point of view, most people were saying Cleo Minnie or Emily Wicks. Now, all 4 of these girls made Team of the Year at the awards night. So for me, those ones are really no surprise that a lot of people thought they might get best on ground this weekend. Now, we had these teams in our grand final. So
yes, we did,
we've already spoken about who we think is going to win. But do you agree winning margin less than 10?
I think so,
Yeah, I think so as well. And from a best on ground, do you agree with our community or you got someone else in mind?
No, look, I'd probably agree with they'd probably be the main 4. I think the real big one is probably between Bianca Daniels and Louisa Suleimani. They're probably arguably the 2 best players on the court. So I think whoever wins that battle could potentially decide who wins the game, really.
Yeah, yep. While these 2 grand finals are sort of our top of the table clashes, we have plenty of grand finals happening on Saturday across all divisions and age groups. So best of luck to everybody playing this weekend, whether that's from our junior netball all the way through to our senior and A-grade competitions. Good luck. And we are really excited to be there on the weekend and to watch everything unfold.
Most certainly. First interview we had for the show was on Saturday. We spoke with Joel Zeitsman, Narre Warren's captain, after their second semi-final win against Woorollalek and heading into the grand final once again. Well, we're here with Joel Zeitsman after Narre Warren's second semi-final win over Woorollalek. Joel, fantastic performance today. How'd you feel coming into it?
Yeah, we felt good. The week off was good. Woori started well, so a lot of fight from the boys to get the win, but just thankful that we got the week off and straight through the granny. It was good.
What were some of the messages at quarter time, mate? Because you were trailing by 20 points and they certainly looked to have the game in their terms, but how'd you wrestle the momentum back?
Yeah, well, there was a little bit of a wind and I think we just went pressure, like our tackle pressure was down. They were streaming forward, making it hard for us backs to defend. I think we fixed that up at quarter time, and second quarter came out. We were in front at half time, so I think the change was big.
Plenty of big matchups for UK defenders, mate, today, because, of course, you had to look after Betty Moncourse, you had to look after Joshy Neal, you had to look after Taylor Gibson. The list really goes on. What were some of those plans trying to quell their influence today?
Yeah, well, they're good players, and their forward line, obviously Moncourse plays up, he's fit, Gibson, big boy, and Neil as well. And then our skipper, Trent, went down at half time. So we had to, change it up again. But, yeah, I think the boys it was a great fight to be able to, nullify him and get the win.
Yep. Playing at Officer, Recreation Reserve in a couple of weeks, mate. Of course, you would have played there at least once this season, I imagine. What's your knowledge of the ground playing there? Obviously, another big ground as well. I'm sure that probably suits you.
Yeah, exactly. A bit of width, so hopefully in a couple of weeks against Woori or Wandon, we come out and give it our best performance and get the win.
Yep. Just fell short last year, mate. You had another really good season. We couldn't quite get the job done. Is that just going to put the fire in the belly for the boys to get it done this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think, we know we've just got one more win to go. We're not going to take anything for granted and just come out and do what we can.
Yep.
Hopefully get the win.
Joel, I don't know if anyone else really cares about this. I'm going to ask this for my own interest. I reckon every time I see you, wear your hair a different way.
Yeah.
I've seen an afro, I've seen cornrows, I've seen the dreads. I reckon the only thing I haven't seen is a short back and sides. But is there anything to that, mate?
I grew it out, so I was just why not play around with it?
Yep.
Yeah, so I like to, why not?
Nah, fair enough, Joel. Mate, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Good luck for the grand final in a couple of weeks.
Cheers, mate.
Second interview was from Sunday, and we spoke with Warburton Millgrove's captain Nelson Aldridge after their top preliminary final win over Seville, and Warby heading into their first grand final since 2006. We're here with Nelson Aldridge after Warburton Millgrove's preliminary final win in Division 1 here against Seville. Nels, what a fantastic win through to a grand final.
Yeah, mate. It hasn't sunk in yet.
Yep.
It was just, that game was just so intense and so much heat in it that I'm sure it'll start to sink in, but Jesus, it was bloody hard going. They're a good team, Seville, so it's nice to get the win.
Yep. I had a chat with you yesterday, mate, because you had beaten them both times coming into today's game. What did you know about their game, or what about them sort of seems to suit you guys?
Look, they move the ball really, really well. We probably match up with them in terms of speed. They use it really well off their back flank, and they've got some big bodies.
Yep.
So, they're pretty crash and bash, but they're also pretty crafty. So we tried to match them with speed, and it's just worked for us.
Yep. Going into Hillsville next week, mate, you've already played them, I think, 3 times this season earlier on in the finals series. Are there any plans next week for the grand final?
Not really. We'll obviously look at it, but I guess they're a good side. They're in the grand final for a reason, and we haven't been too good against them this year, but it's a new day, and we'll take the opportunity.
Yep. It's a pretty interesting day, mate. You did have a couple of players go down throughout the game. What were some of the messages from the coach just to try and keep on going?
Well, the coach was one of the blokes who went down.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But the messages that come from the leadership group and was to get the job done for him, for one, and compose. Don't let the emotion of the game get the better of us, which it can, especially in these big games. And we knew Seville were going to come hard regardless, so it was to try and just keep composed and keep hit the mind on the job. Beg your pardon.
Yep. Nelson, thank you very much for joining us today, mate. Good luck for next week.
Thank you.
All right, well, it is time for a quick little awards night review. Obviously, this awards night was Division 1 and our women's football. We do have another awards night coming up for Prem and Unders. But let's talk about it. So, our key winners on the night. I'd love to get your opinion on these ones. Our seniors Jim Wandon medalist, best and fairest in Division 1, Ben Ratton, 5th competition best and fairest.
Yep.
How'd you see that one?
No, I really liked Benny's season. It was a tough year for Powelltown, but he's a great character. He's well loved around the entire competition. And, I think it was great that he stuck with the club. There was lots of talk, plenty of other clubs are throwing offers at him, but he's a loyal person. He's a great character, and he's a hard worker. Very humble man is Benny. He very much talked down his performances.
He did,
as he always
Yeah.
did. We had him up on stage there and his highlights of playing, and he went completely bright red, the same colour as that football, to be perfectly honest. But no, I think he had another great season, Benny, and definitely deserving of the medal.
So if we look across to our women's competition in Division 1, Jess Occupanti from Upwey Tacoma won her first best and fairest. She was quite shy when she got up on stage, and I think she was a little bit shocked. I think she said something along the lines of, I was just filming that because I thought that my friend was going to win and not me.
Yeah, she did say that.
But yeah, really strong season from her. She definitely was a standout. But yeah, very interesting. They didn't make the grand final, but yeah, a really strong season from her.
Yeah, well, it doesn't necessarily matter about grand final performances.
True.
Powelltown didn't even make finals. Ben Ratt was able to win, because you've got to remember it's all about the home and away season. But look, we did see some of her highlights, and I think she did make plenty of teams of the week throughout the season.
Yeah.
So, definitely
So
a strong
fast
season.
too.
Yes,
All of her
no.
highlights just dodging players, kicking goals.
Yeah, good burst out of the stoppages, yep.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we also had Emerson Woods from Warburton Wesburn. So that was for Division 2 women's football. I think what's awesome about this story as well is that it is their first season in the women's competition. So kind of cool from someone from Warby to take that out.
Yep.
But, of course, she's already had a fairly decorated career through Eastern Rangers, VFL. She played a game of AFLW for Carlton. What I liked about hers, though, is that even though the women's team is new, she talked about how she'd kind of grown up as a part of that club and sort of always been around.
Well, it's a big family name at Warburton Millgrove Woods, so definitely a lot of pressure for her. But, I mean, she handled it quite well considering.
Yeah, absolutely. And she spoke really well as well. Last but not least, Alana McGurgan taking out the A grade best and fairest.
Back-to-back medals for her as well, same as me. Yep.
Pretty impressive. Another one which she seemed quite shocked when she got up on stage, even though she's won back-to-back. But I think very deserving, very strong. Again, in her highlights, she was just everywhere. Now, I would argue this is equally as important, Aiden. A food review.
Oh, yeah, of course, yep. Definitely.
A food review at the awards night. I'm a little bit different because I'm a celiac, so I have to eat gluten-free. But what I loved about last night, it doesn't happen often, is that I got to eat the same thing as everyone else. So that was already a big tick for me. I had the beef. It was incredible. I also got to eat the same dessert as everybody. It was delicious.
Yep.
But what do you think?
I had the Moroccan spice chicken, which I thought was quite nice. They always do a good job at Rochford. I'm always quite impressed with the food as well. So I think it's pretty good. The chicken was nice and tender. There was a little side of like couscous salad and something like that as well. I think so. It was very good. They always do a good job, Rochford. So I certainly can't complain.
Shout out Rochford. Yep. You guys are awesome. Obviously we also want to say congratulations to everybody else who won awards on the night. There were plenty. It was so nice to be in the room with all the positivity and celebrating the season and all the people in our community. So thank you so much to everyone who attended, and congratulations to all our award winners.
All right, well, new segment for the show, Colour Me Impressed, as we mentioned at the start. So we are going to go through some of the more impressive stories throughout the season. So the first one was Warburton Millgrove making the senior men's grand final, and was a good story because obviously Division 1 and Division 2 did merge together at the start of this season after, we decided to restructure the comp. And, as Nelson Aldridge, he did say at the medal night last night, Warby's honest expectation was just to try and compete, just to maybe try and be on and around finals. They finished third this season and they have managed to get through to a grand final. It's their first, as we mentioned, since 2006. So it's a massive story for the club. They were disappointed last year. They finished top of the ladder in Division 2. They were knocked out in a preliminary final to Powelltown, so it was a disappointing end for their season. And he did say that was a big driving factor, particularly later in the preliminary final, to get over the line because they didn't want to suffer the same kind of disappointments as last season. Absolutely.
Yeah, massive for Warby, who obviously also have their A-grade netball side competing as well. So two really good stories there, really. One from me is the Woorollalek women's team. Obviously, it's their first season this year. Again, they just wanted to get out there. They wanted to get a team together. They just wanted to be out there on the park. To make it all the way to the grand final, even though they didn't win, is absolutely
lost by 1 point too.
Massive. Yeah, they got so close. And I think just like the camaraderie between those girls that they've been able to build just across the one season, even last night at the medal night, anytime any one of those Woori girls was either up for an award or won an award, the cheers and the happiness and everything coming from that table was really nice to see. So, expecting big things from them in coming seasons.
No, most certainly. The next one was the A Tigers coming out of recession in footy, and the reserve side made the finals, of course, and the seniors just missed out pretty much by percentage. So they did a really, really good job considering. Yay. It was very disappointing to see last year that they weren't able to get the numbers. They were amalgamated with Broadford back in 2022. And I'm going to be honest, Steph, I did hear at the end of 2023 they were planning to get a football side back up. But when I heard that, I just didn't believe it. I didn't think it was possible because they are a pretty small community. I thought, how are they going to go from zero to, about 50-odd players to fill reserves and seniors for the season. But look, they did really well. We did speak with Peter Armstrong earlier this year when we did go up there when they played Yarra Junction, and just an incredible story. And it was so good to see. As a commentator, we're meant to be neutral, and we most certainly are, but we do get behind these kind of stories. It was just great to see Yay get so close. And not just get back into the competition, but be competitive. And they won plenty of games. And I think there were, for probably a lot of people this season, they were probably a lot of people's second team.
Yeah, absolutely. A really, really great story there. Well, I wanted to highlight something from our junior competition as well, because of course they are not to be forgotten. But one of the highlights from juniors for me this year, from a footy perspective, was our under 10 girls. So we had our first ever under 10 girls competition. We only had 4 sides, and we do hope that that increases in seasons to come. But to even get that up and going and to have that pathway now from juniors all the way through to senior football is massive. It's a huge area of growth. I'm so excited to see how girls and women's footy progresses over the next couple of years across our competition. And yeah, just so good to see. Yep. Lovely story.
The next one was the Hillsville A-grade netball side making finals for the first time in a pretty long while, and they only just lost their semi-final to Yarra Glen by 1 goal. Pretty high-scoring game that was, 63-62. And I think the important thing about this too is there is a potential if Hillsville do win the grand final in the footy on Sunday that they might have to go up into Premier Division. So I think this is really good just to give them a bit of extra belief, because it is going to be challenging for them if they do go up into Premier Division. So I think a good little stepping stone for them should they go up with the footy. I mean, if the footy does decide to go up, then they will go up with them. So I think that was definitely a good confidence booster for Hillsville and the netball.
Absolutely. Well, in more netball news, this time for the 17 and under competition. So unfortunately, our 17 and under competition collapsed a little bit this season. But what I loved that came out of Alexandra was that the 17 and under team that were going to be competing in that competition decided to stay together, and they competed in D grade. They also made it all the way to finals, which is very impressive because you're obviously going from junior netball to playing against adults.
Yep.
So to decide to stick together, to want to play as a team, to go and compete against adults and make it to finals, I think is super impressive. I think it's a great story. And yeah, well done to those girls for sticking together. That's awesome.
No, most certainly. The next one was we've had plenty of OEFN representation in pathways, Eastern Rangers, Northeast Blaze, even umpiring, which has been really, really good to see. It's always good when our competition can really help build some of our participants into further and higher up competition.
Absolutely. That's been great to see. And, you know, great partners of ours, Rangers and Northeast Blaze. So, yeah, really good to see so many representatives from our competition in those pathways. Of course, we would be remiss not to touch on umpire numbers, because they have increased from a footy point of view by over 70 this year. It is record numbers for us. It's even record numbers at an AFL level. It's just awesome to see, and so many juniors who are sort of learning and still coming through. So yeah, there's some really great depth there. Congratulations to all our umpires. We really appreciate you. We wouldn't have the game without you, and awesome to see an increase in that this season.
Most certainly. The last one was the openness to chat to us and allow us to help tell a lot of the great stories of our competition, all the interviews. I think it's really been great for the content, for the people who do tune into the live stream, the people who do watch the show. It's been really great to hear from more of the players rather than just hearing from me all the time. I think people do get a bit bored of hearing my voice all the time, Steph. So I think it's really great to get some insights from the people who are out there competing.
No, absolutely. We wouldn't be able to do this show or to tell these stories unless people were happy to chat to us. And I think especially as the season's gone on, you can sort of see now that, like, if people know we're there and that they've got a match of the round, they kind of know that we're going to be coming and asking interviews and things.
Exactly right.
Everybody's been really welcoming. Everybody's been really willing to chat to us, and we really do appreciate it.
Well, that pretty much wraps up all there is to talk about in the Outer East this week. Remember, if there's anything you'd like to see in the show, make sure you leave a comment down below. Steph, thank you again for joining me in the studio.
No problems at all.
For all the viewers out there, don't forget to get your game face on.